the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt Castillo with Red Team News. The Black Lives Matter movement has been around since 2012, but many do not know what the movement is all about. The organization was created by Patrisse Cullors, Opel Tometi, and Alicia Garza after George Zimmerman was acquitted for the murder of Trayvon Martin in 2013. The movement is even inspiring hip-hop as artists are using their musical talents to support the cause. We turn to Alex Love for more on the Black Lives Matter movement.
The Black Lives Matter movement is intended to bring awareness to the violence that has been seen towards African Americans. The movement regularly organizes to protest that deal with issues including police brutality, racial profiling, and racial inequality in the United States. Some would say that the Black Lives Matter movement is another form of the civil rights movement and would argue that the movement is both peaceful and violent.
I would say when I look at the Black Lives Matter movement, I see two different civil rights movements. You have the nonviolent civil rights movement of Martin Luther King, the marching and the praying and things like that. And you have some of that in Black Lives Matter. It is largely nonviolent, using demonstration to try to get the point across. However, also I see vestiges of the Black Power movement in it, because the Black Power movement was less supplicating and more in your face.
Black Lives Matter belongs to the younger generation of African Americans who use it not only as a beacon of frustration, but a chance to leave an imprint of African American history. When it comes to history, the movement holds. We spoke to Dr. Warren Carson, who is an active member of Black Lives Matter at USC Upstate.
You have young people drawing on their sense of history, but also infusing that sense of history with a sense of frustration because things have not really proceeded as quickly or as deeply or as high as they need to go to make sure that everybody has a fair shot at everything that's available to us as Americans.
The USC Upstate campus has been actively involved with the Black Lives Matter movement. Upstate has hosted a number of events with speakers who have addressed the movement. LaRonda Grant, a student at USC Upstate, attended one of the events.
Black Lives Matter is very important to me, not only because I am an African American, but because I do face a lot of the injustices that we are speaking about here tonight. And I think that it's important to not only bring light to it and awareness, but to also try to combat it and bring equality.
Since the campaign began in 2013, the organization has continued to grow and expand. The movement is having an impact all across the country, but the impact goes even farther than just protests. The campaign has even gained supporters and awareness in countries around the world.
I think one of the real interesting things is that Black Lives Matters, knows no boundaries. It has come out of a very small, confined audience. It has kind of taken the world by storm.
Not everyone is a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement. Some would question the actual message of the organization and believe that all it is doing is condoning violence and even racism. Some do not like the phrase Black Lives Matter and believe it should be All Lives Matter.
Like anything else, it has its detractors, people who either don't understand or don't want to understand what it is that people are saying. And, all of that is part of the problem, I think. We've seen it on our college campuses with Missouri and Yale, and even as close as USC Columbia just in the last day or so. People bringing attention to injustices wherever they happen to be. Yes, all lives matters, but inasmuch as all lives include Black lives, no one has to be ashamed to say so.
The Black Lives Matter movement is having a major influence in the music industry, especially in hip-hop. Kendrick Lamar wrote the song Alright. Then there is Usher and Nas, who together wrote the song Chains. Both songs are inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. Other artists are being inspired by the organization as well. Here is Aaron Thames with more.
Hip-hop artists have drawn inspiration from the movement that is sweeping the nation as well as around the world. Historically, hip-hop music has been used as a way for an artist to express themselves. And the songs that are inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement is doing just that. It is allowing artists to voice their frustration and bring awareness to the cause. We spoke with hip-hop artist Benjamin Starr on how the movement has inspired hip-hop music.
So you see lots of artists, they're more self-aware. They're more aware about the things they put out in their music and how it affects the community, how it influences people who listen. And me personally, it affects me greatly. These things, not just the bad things, the tragedies that have happened, but just the beauty in our history and our culture. I try to reflect that in my music, and it drives a lot of narratives in the music, whether it's regarding black men, black women, and the things we face, the youth. All these things influence artists, especially hip-hop artists today.
Starr also believed hip-hop artists are being inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement. We wanted to know how his music specifically has been inspired by the organization and what he has done for the Black Lives Matter campaign.
For the Black Lives Matter, I always, for that narrative of black being important and us being equal, it's really about equality. I try to drive the narrative in the storylines, whether I'm talking about things black women face. I have a song called Mirrors, where every verse is a different topic that's kind of not talked about as much in the black community, from black young men growing up with single moms and the relationship or the dichotomy between the mother and the child, his anger, her frustration, talking about black women being abused or raped or taken advantage of, and lastly, police brutality and things like that go on. So as an artist, I just try to contribute to the narrative of truth.
Hip-hop artists play a major role in the movement because of the influence that they have over their fans. Artists use social media as a way to connect or interact with their fans. So when they see their favorite artist voice an opinion on matters such as the Black Lives Matter movement, then the fans form an opinion as well. They're able to reach out to so many people effectively because of their influence on society.
I feel like if we didn't have hip-hop as an outlet, a lot of stuff wouldn't get heard. And that's just my personal opinion, because they'll try to sweep it under the rug, you know, sweep it under the table. But now you have an artist that has 1 million followers on social media. And if he say something about it, yo, this is messed up how they doing our people. I can't believe how this is going on. Now you have 1 million other people that follow this person, that looks up to this person like, wow, you know what? He right. This ain't right how he doing. So it really gives us an advantage to speak on, you know, how we feel about, you know, the situation that's going on with our black people.
Like the Black Lives Matter movement that often faces negativity or backlash, so does the hip-hop artists who are actively involved with the organization. Rappers and people who associate themselves with hip-hop are often labeled based off their lifestyle.
It's not, when you think of black people, it's so much negativity that come with it. So I'm not perfect, but I feel that character takes you a long way in life. So if I can be able to show people through my actions that, you know, I'm a civilized person, just because I might sag my pants a little bit and wear the clothes that stereotype me to be a thug, that no, I graduated from college. I ain't never been in jail before. I ain't got 3-4 kids running around here. You know, I think I'm an average man living the American dream the best I can.
Artists are continuing to produce music that reflects what the Black Lives Matter campaign is fighting for. The songs are bringing awareness to the topics such as police brutality, racial inequalities, and racial injustices that African Americans here in the United States have to face. This is Aaron Things reporting.
Hip-hop music has survived since the 1960s. Now it has a relationship with the Black Lives Matter movement. The relationship is helping the movement reach their goal of ending racial issues in the United States. Artists are continuing to use their platforms to reach out to their fans and bring awareness to the cause. I am Matt Castillo. Thanks for watching.
No man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died.